In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NBA games happening on January 28, 2026, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Charlotte Hornets versus Memphis Grizzlies. The Charlotte Hornets head into FedEx Forum on Wednesday night to meet the Memphis Grizzlies, and this one has classic "Are we getting carried away?" vibes around the line alone. You have a road team getting some recent love against a group that has taken its lumps, which is exactly where people start chasing the latest trend a bit too hard. Charlotte comes in with some real momentum, having beaten the 76ers and the Wizards, with the Mavericks waiting for them next. The Hornets have won 6 of their last 9 games, and lately their offense has actually backed that up with cleaner sets and better ball movement, which has helped those efficiency spikes show up on the scoreboard instead of just on paper. Ask Philadelphia about that Monday game, where Charlotte was actually favored despite a lot of people rolling their eyes at the idea, and then went out and justified it anyway. Memphis is sitting in a very different lane right now. The Grizzlies dropped games to the Rockets and Pelicans and have the Pelicans again next, which is not exactly a gentle stretch. They have lost 9 of their last 13, and it has become easy for people to treat them like a punchline, especially when the defense wobbles and those fast possessions start working against them instead of for them. This is where the spread starts to feel a bit inflated. Charlotte has handled business recently and earned some respect, but now, even with a losing road record, they are being asked to lay a number away from home. That price is built almost entirely on what has happened over the last couple of weeks rather than on the full season picture of who they are when they step on the floor. Memphis is far from flawless, and their defensive inconsistencies show up quickly, especially because they want to play with pace and live in quick trips up and down the court. If the Grizzlies cannot get comfortable in those high-volume possessions, they can get buried pretty fast, no question. The real question, though, is whether this version of the Hornets has the steadiness to walk into a hostile building, deal with those surges, and still justify being road favorites. That is where skepticism starts to creep in. Charlotte is not a sure thing here, not by any stretch, and the fact that they are favored feels driven by the short-term story more than the actual talent on the floor for this single matchup. Both teams are still overall losing teams, so it feels a bit dramatic to scream that the wrong side is favored, but it is plenty fair to say that Charlotte has not really earned the right to be chalk in this spot yet. As our first pick for this matchup, the Memphis Grizzlies to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The Charlotte Hornets are averaging 116 points on 46.2% shooting from the field while allowing 115.5 points on 47.7% shooting. That mix of solid offense and shaky defense usually leans toward back and forth stretches rather than long defensive stands. From the outside, Charlotte is knocking down 36.9% of its shots from beyond the arc and hitting 81.1% at the free throw line, which is a strong combination for keeping the scoring steady even when the half-court offense gets a bit clunky. On the other side of the ball, they are allowing opponents to shoot 36.9% from deep and pulling down 45.6 rebounds per game, so they are not exactly shutting down the perimeter, even if they can clean the glass well enough once a shot goes up. Memphis brings a very similar profile to the table. The Grizzlies are averaging 115.6 points on 45.6% shooting and allowing 116.7 points on 46.2% shooting, which again puts both sides in that mid-100 teens neighborhood on both offense and defense. They are hitting 35% from three-point range and 80% from the free throw line, so while they are a bit less accurate from deep than Charlotte, they still have enough efficiency to keep pace in a game that tilts toward offense. Defensively, Memphis is allowing 35.8% shooting from beyond the arc and grabbing 46.2 rebounds per game. So, like Charlotte, they are not locking down the outside, and their rebounding numbers suggest both teams should have plenty of possessions and second-chance opportunities scattered throughout the night. Put it all together and you get two teams that both sit around the mid-100 teens in scoring, both allow nearly the same amount, both give up decent looks from three, and both can score at the line. That combination usually lends itself to long stretches where baskets keep trading hands, and one or two hot shooting runs can nudge the final total upward more than you might expect from their records alone. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Minnesota Timberwolves versus Dallas Mavericks. The Minnesota Timberwolves head into the American Airlines Center on Wednesday to meet the Dallas Mavericks, and this one has that tricky feel where the line looks a little rich for what we have actually seen lately from the favorite. It is one of those spots where the name on the jersey and a single strong performance can cloud what the last couple of weeks have really looked like. Minnesota just split a mini set with the Warriors, took a loss to the Bulls, and has the Thunder waiting next on the schedule. Even with that big win over Golden State on Monday, they have still dropped 5 of their last 6 games, so the recent stretch has been bumpy, not steady. That blowout of the Warriors does help the mood, of course, especially because it came without Anthony Edwards, but it does not erase the larger slump by itself. Dallas comes in having beaten the Warriors, then losing to the Lakers, with another meeting against the Timberwolves coming up next. The Mavs have taken 4 of their last 5 games, quietly playing better than the headlines around their inconsistency would suggest. They might not be perfect, but they do feel a bit more in rhythm right now than their overall record screams at first glance. On the injury front, the Timberwolves could be short-handed again, with Leonard Miller and Anthony Edwards both listed as questionable. The Mavericks have ruled out Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Moussa Cease, while Cooper Flagg is tagged as questionable, so they are juggling their own issues. The funny part is that, despite those absences, Dallas has still managed to string together solid performances, which adds a little confidence that they can punch above what you might expect from a short-handed group. Minnesota should, in theory, be the better team on most nights and good enough to get the job done on the road if they really lock in. The problem is that we just watched them lose 5 straight, and they have a bad habit of playing with their food, letting teams hang around instead of putting them away cleanly. They are 6-14 against the spread in their last 20 games when favorites of 5 or more points, and just 3-10 against the spread in their last 13 road games when laying that kind of number. So laying chalk with them away from home, especially in this range, feels more like wishful thinking than a value move. The Mavs have been scrapping, and their recent level of play suggests they are more dangerous than their record alone shows, especially in a spot where they are catching points. Honestly, it would not be shocking at all if they flirted with an outright upset, but even short of that, there is a strong case that they can keep this tight enough to stay within the number. As our first pick for this matchup, the Dallas Mavericks to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Switching gears to the total, this matchup quietly sets up as a game that can support a solid scoring environment, even with the injury questions floating around both sides. The Minnesota Timberwolves are averaging 119.2 points on 48.2% shooting while allowing 115 points on 46.2% shooting. That combination of efficient scoring and a defense that concedes a decent number of points creates a natural base in the mid-100 teens on both ends. From the perimeter, Minnesota is hitting 37.1% of its attempts from beyond the arc and 75% from the free throw line. Defensively, they are allowing 35.7% shooting from deep and pulling down 44.8 rebounds per game. So they shoot it well from outside, give up respectable looks from 3 and finish possessions on the glass often enough that there are plenty of clean trips for both teams. Dallas brings its own interesting profile to the table. The Mavericks are averaging 114.2 points on 47.3% shooting and allowing 116.6 points on 46.3% shooting. They are not quite as explosive on offense as Minnesota by the raw numbers, but they are close enough, and their defense has been leaky enough that games can easily tilt into higher scoring territory when the pace picks up. From long range, the Mavs are shooting 34.4% from beyond the arc and 74.8% at the free throw line. They are allowing only 32.9% shooting from deep and grabbing 44.7 rebounds per game, which is a slightly better mark against the 3 than you might expect given their points allowed. Even so, when you blend both teams, you still get 2 offenses that are comfortable in the mid-100 teens and 2 defenses that allow plenty of efficient looks inside the arc. When you stand back and look at the full picture, you see a matchup with efficient shooting from the field, decent three-point ability, frequent trips to the line, and enough possessions on both sides for scoring runs to develop. Even if one star or another ends up limited or out, the overall structure of how these two teams play points more toward a game where points are available rather than a rock fight. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Golden State Warriors versus Utah Jazz. The Golden State Warriors head to the Delta Center on Wednesday to take on the Utah Jazz, and the setup around this one is more about context than vibes from a single box score. And you have a team that has been trending up over a larger sample facing a group that is clearly stuck in a slide, and the line reflects that shift in momentum pretty clearly. Golden State comes in off a loss to the Mavs, a split with the Timberwolves, and they have the Pistons waiting next. Even with that ugly effort in the most recent meeting with Minnesota, the Warriors have still taken 13 of their last 20 games, which quietly hints at a team that has stabilized after a choppy start. That last loss is tricky, though, because it came with most of their key guys sitting, so it says more about their schedule management than their true level. Utah is in a very different lane right now. The Jazz fell to the Clippers and the Heat, and they have the Nets next. They have dropped 12 of their last 15 games, and that kind of sustained skid usually tells you more about where a group is than any single competitive outing. On the personnel side, the Warriors are still missing Jimmy Butler III and Seth Curry, but they are expecting to have Draymond Green, Stephen Curry, and Gary Payton II back in action. That is the core that actually drives who they are on both ends. Utah has ruled out Keontae George, Jusuf Nurkic, and Walker Kessler, so they are dealing with their own serious absences in the backcourt and frontcourt. On top of that, they are playing the second half of a back-to-back, and there is a fair chance they decide to protect Lauri Markkanen rather than push him through heavy minutes in this spot. So you have Golden State coming off a game where the stars rested and should be fresh, walking into a matchup against a slumping, short-handed Jazz squad that is also dealing with schedule fatigue. The Warriors are understandably favored to bounce back with Green and Curry returning, and this is exactly the kind of spot where their experience and top-end shot-making tend to show up. Utah, for all its effort, simply has not been able to string together consistent basketball lately. And with key pieces out, it is hard to see them reliably matching punch for punch across 4 quarters if Golden State is locked in. After you strip away the noise from that rest game against the Timberwolves, what is left is a stronger, healthier team facing a weary, banged-up opponent that has been leaking results for weeks. In a situation like that, it makes plenty of sense to expect the visitors to assert themselves and turn this into a get-right spot rather than another flat outing. As our first pick for this matchup, the Golden State Warriors to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full-game side pick. When you shift the focus from the spread to the scoring environment, the numbers for these two teams create an interesting contrast between offensive capability and defensive strain. The Golden State Warriors are averaging 116.7 points on 46.2% shooting and allowing 113.5 points on 47% shooting. That profile points to an offense that can score efficiently while the defense gives up enough clean looks to keep opponents involved, but not so many that every game turns into a track meet by default. From outside, the Warriors are shooting 36.5% from beyond the arc and 81.7% from the free throw line. They are allowing 35.2% shooting from deep and grabbing 42.9 rebounds per game. So they have reliable perimeter scoring and steady work at the stripe, while doing just enough on the glass and against the three to avoid completely losing control of pace and rhythm. The Jazz bring a more extreme statistical picture. Utah is averaging 119 points on 46.8% shooting and allowing 127.8 points on 49.3% shooting. On paper, that looks like one long fireworks show, with plenty of offense and even more leakage on the defensive end. They are shooting 35% from beyond the arc and 80.3% from the free throw line, which supports that scoring average when their offense is functioning. Defensively, though, Utah is allowing 37.8% shooting from deep and grabbing 44 rebounds per game. Those numbers show how much room opponents are getting on the perimeter and how many possessions both sides are ending with a shot rather than a turnover-driven grind. In a vacuum, all of this might point toward a game with a lot of points. However, when you factor in the current situation that sits behind those same numbers, the story shifts a bit. The Jazz are shorthanded, they are on a back-to-back, and their rotation is missing multiple key pieces who usually help keep the offense humming. That kind of attrition often shows up in tired legs, shorter runs, and more empty trips, even if the raw season averages say they can score. On the other side, the Warriors, when mostly whole, can tighten the screws on defense just enough to drag the overall tempo and efficiency down a notch compared to what Utah's recent defensive numbers alone might suggest. So while both teams have the statistical profile to participate in high-scoring contests, the combination of fatigue, injuries, and a more focused effort from a rested Golden State group supports the idea that this particular matchup can land below an inflated expectation rather than turning into a pure shootout. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. San Antonio Spurs versus Houston Rockets. The San Antonio Spurs head to Toyota Center on Wednesday night to take on the Houston Rockets in a matchup that has a little more emotional weight than your usual regular season game. Rivalry games like this one tend to feel different. The crowd is louder, every run feels bigger, and small mistakes suddenly look huge. San Antonio comes in after beating the Jazz, then falling to the Pelicans, with the Hornets waiting for them next. They have taken 4 of their last 6 games, which is a nice little stretch for a team that was scrapping for rhythm not too long ago. It is not dominance, but it is real progress, and you can feel that their confidence has started to catch up with their recent results. Houston, on the other side, has beaten the Pistons and the Grizzlies and will see the Hawks next. The Rockets have won 6 of their last 8 games, so they are not just treading water either. They look like a group that has started to understand who they are and what works, especially at home, where energy rarely seems to be a problem. Now, here is where things get interesting. This rivalry has all the ingredients of a game where old narratives and reputation sit in the back seat while execution takes the wheel. These kinds of spots usually compress outcomes, pace settles into something more controlled, rotations tighten up, and coaches lean harder on the sets and actions they fully trust instead of trying cute experiments. That sort of environment often rewards the team that plays the cleaner and more disciplined brand of basketball, rather than the team that simply looks flashier on a highlight reel. San Antonio has been quietly building an edge in that area. The Spurs do not depend on chaos to win possessions. Their offense is built on structure and spacing, moving the ball, using the floor, and getting to shots that make sense instead of just hunting hero moments. Defensively, they lean on connectivity, they switch with purpose, contest without panicking into wild overhelp, and they finish possessions with rebounds instead of giving up cheap second chances. That kind of two-way steadiness is the sort of thing that really holds up in a heated environment, where wild momentum swings can punish the more volatile group. The other key piece here is that San Antonio is not going to get bullied. They can match the Rockets physically, which matters in a rivalry game where every cut, screen, and box out carries a little extra edge. So when you put all of that together, getting the Spurs at a plus number starts to look pretty attractive. This feels like the kind of game that can go either way on the scoreboard, which gives extra value to the side that already brings a more measured, road-ready style into the building. As our first pick for this matchup, the San Antonio Spurs to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The San Antonio Spurs are averaging 117.7 points on 47.2% shooting, while allowing 112.7 points on 45.9% shooting. That is a strong offensive number paired with a defense that, while not suffocating, has tightened enough to avoid constant shootout territory. They are hitting 34.9% from beyond the arc and 79.3% at the free throw line, which is efficient enough to keep them from wasting too many possessions when they get quality looks. On the other side, they are allowing 36.1% shooting from deep and grabbing 46.4 rebounds per game. So they do give up some success from 3, but they also end a lot of trips with a rebound, which can limit those endless scramble sequences that send totals flying upward. Houston brings a similar but slightly different scoring profile. The Rockets are averaging 116.9 points on 47.9% shooting and allowing 110.8 points on 46.3% shooting. Their offense is strong, but their defense has quietly been good enough to keep opponents from treating every night like an open gym. They are shooting 36.9% from beyond the arc and 75.1% from the free throw line, which keeps the door open for solid scoring without screaming non-stop fireworks. Defensively, they are allowing 34.9% shooting from deep and grabbing 47.9 rebounds per game, which is a nice combination of contested threes and controlled glass. When you blend those numbers, you get 2 offenses that live in the mid-100 teens and 2 defenses that are sturdy enough to avoid turning every mistake into a track meet. Add in the rivalry angle, where pace often settles a bit and teams lean more into their trusted half-court sets, and the scoring can naturally compress without either side suddenly forgetting how to play. You can still get runs, you can still get highlight plays, but long stretches of sharper half-court defense and more deliberate possessions can quietly tug the total downward compared to what the raw scoring averages might suggest. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.